There are some card tricks where I actually really like the secret almost better than what you can do with it. The secret is fascinating to me, and that's true for this one, although the effects are astounding. What I'm about to show you is a very small, simple demonstration of a method. This isn't just a trick. This is a much bigger topic, but I'll show you a little demo so you can see what it does of a method that's very, very cool. So we just have a deck of cards here that we'll take out. It makes it easier to do the trick when the cards are outside of the box. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take a look at these and make sure that these are shuffled enough for us. In fact, what we're going to do is mix them up a little bit, and I'm going to tell my spectator, I want you to do this. I'm going to cut the deck, and I'll have you cut the deck too. You don't have to be fancy. Just cut once like this if you want, just like that, and they can do that. And tell them, you know, something funny about cutting cards, and that is when somebody cuts the cards, we don't know how many cards down they're going to cut. You could cut down, if you cut 50% of it exactly, you'd be cutting 26 cards, but we can't guarantee that. You might just cut off, about 17 cards if you do it like that, or maybe 32 cards if you do it like that. But it doesn't matter. I want you to cut off however many you feel you want to cut. Just cut the cards and complete it. And you can do that again if you want to. To their heart's desire, they can cut the cards. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put this entire deck back inside the box. And you'll notice that all we did was mix up the cards. Nobody selected a card, right? We're going to put the cards inside the box. And I'm actually going to have my spectator hold on to the deck, put your hand on it, whatever. And I can't read your mind, I tell them, because you're not thinking of a card. You didn't select the card. What we're going to do instead is I'm going to read the mind of the deck. So let me write a couple things down here, what I believe this deck is thinking. All right, let's see here. Okay, I wrote some things down I'm going to show you. Now, I realize that looks like code, but that really means something. A 4H, a 7S, a 10D, a KC, and a 3H. And it has to do with what I believe that deck is thinking. The deck that you cut as many times as you want to, and then we put inside the box, face down. But this is the thought that comes to my head. Let's see what happens. Let's take the deck out and see if this means anything at all. If we take the cards and we were to put them down on the table, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a 4H, 4 of hearts, and then a 7 of spades, followed by a 10 of diamonds, a king of clubs, a 3 of hearts. Now that would be amazing, but you'd have to be able to read the mind of the deck to do that. That's weird. Okay, so this method is called a stacked deck. There's lots of different kinds of stacks, ways to stack cards. A stacked deck just means this deck is in a particular order that is cyclical. It's a cycle. It's like a circle. And the cards can be cut all we want them to be cut, and that cycle will still, or that order will still remain the same. Now, the stack that I'm using here, you may recognize if you're familiar with stacks. If you looked at this and you know the Stebbins, then you recognize that order. This is the Stebbins stack. There's other stacks. Probably the first stack I learned when I was a kid was something called the 8 Kings, because it's a poem. 8 kings threaten to save 95 queens for one sick knave. A knave is a jack. So it was 8 king, 3, 10, 2, 7, 9, 5 queen, 4, 1, 6 jack. That's a stack. It's a way to memorize a series of cards that are in particular order that look random. And then you have to memorize a suit order. And a lot of magicians have their own way to do that. A common one is something known as chased, CHSD, which stands for clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. And that's what I did with this stack. I have these in Stebbins order and chased order. So what happens is we have, I'll tell you about the Stebbins order, but every card would be, it'll go like this: spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, all the way down to here. And then the Stebbins. So the way Stebbins works is, and what's great about it is that it's mathematical, is if we start the deck, just to make it simpler to explain, let's start with the ace of clubs. The Stebbins works like this. Every card increases by a value of 3, and then it starts over again. So in other words, the first card in the stack at this point is an ace, so the next one's going to be a 4. Next one after that is 7, and then a 10, right? And then plus 3 makes 13, or queen. So we have an ace, 4, 7, 10, king, that's what I meant to say. King is 13. And then again, back to the 3. right? Because it increases by 3. The king is the last one in the deck. So we go up by 3, 3 of hearts. And then plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. That's a queen. Plus 3, we're going to go over the king again and go ace 2. And we end up with a 2. 5, 8, jack, which is 11. So in other words, just increasing by 3. It takes a little bit of practice sometimes to jump from the queen to the 2 or the jack to the ace, but you can remember those. Those actually can be memorized, the king to the 3. The rest of them are pretty simple. Obviously 3, 6, 9, they're all 3 apart. All I need to do is know that. Also, all I need to do is know the chased clubs, hearts, spades, diamond. That's how I have these stacked. So when I took out the deck, you'll notice that I didn't shuffle them. You can't do that unless you do a false shuffle, which I didn't do. I did do a false cut, though. I'll talk to you about in a minute. And so we can just simply take the deck and say, well, this looks like it's pretty well shuffled. And let's just have our spectator cut the cards. And we'll talk about what happens when you cut cards. Now, I did do a tricky little thing called a false cut. I went like this. And it's actually not cutting the cards at all. It looks like I cut them, but I didn't. And so you can do that if you want to, or you can learn your own false cut. There's also this kind of a false shuffle. I didn't do this, but if you want to do this, you can say, let's get these all mixed up a little bit like this. And it looks like you're shuffling up the cards, and you're really not. You just cut them. You can do that if you want to. You know, I don't think it matters, but that might help a little bit. So all you're doing, let me stand up so you can see this better, is you're taking some off the top, from the bottom down here, going like this and alternating. And in doing this move, you're actually, it looks like you're shuffling them. If you do it quickly, you're actually just cutting the cards. The same thing as doing that, believe it or not. And the cards stay in their order. Okay, so once we have done all that and we let the spectator cut their cards, you'll notice I never did look at the cards. So then how in the world would I know to have chosen the 4 of hearts and the 7 of spades and all that if we never looked at the cards, right? I have to know something. What I have to know the top card is I have to know the bottom card. So in this case, in fact, let's go to where it was. So this is a little simpler. What happened was when we did that in the demonstration, we ended up with the ace of clubs on the bottom. But how did I know the ace of clubs is on the bottom? If you played the video back, I never one time looked at the cards, but I still would know that the 4 of hearts would be on top because it comes after the ace of clubs. So how did I know that? Well, the reason I knew that is because of the box right here. That's why I put it in a box. I had to have a reason to put it in the box besides just hide the cards. What happens is we cut the cards, we never looked at them. We falsely shuffle them, maybe falsely cut them, and let the spectator cut them all they want. We keep them face down the whole time, right? And I just cut them again. We're putting them inside the box, so there's no way I can have seen. I don't know the bottom card, at least not yet, not until I do this, and now I know what it is. I'm going to have you hold on to this deck. Put your hand on it, and I'm going to read it's mine. Well, the reason I know the bottom card now is the Queen of Clubs is because this is a special box handcrafted by me in an X-Acto knife to make it into a peek box like that. I just cut a little corner. It's something you can hide like this when you're holding the deck, handing it to him, putting it down. But by cutting out a little window, that's called a peek box, I can see the bottom card. Now that method, when you work with a stacked deck, can do a lot of things for you, because when you know the bottom card of a stacked deck, there's a ton of tricks you can do. This one's kind of a silly little demonstration. There's way more amazing things you can do, especially with the size Stebbins deck. Because it's mathematical, the size Stebbins deck allows you to do, I mean, there's volumes written on this, and there's tons of books and videos about what you can do with size Stebbins because of all the mathematical, gymnastics that you can do with it. In fact, I've even developed a web app. People that have my card magic training have my web app where your phone can actually tell you where every card is in a size Stebbins deck as long as you know the bottom card. So there's just tons of things you can do that go way beyond this video. I'll make some other videos about some tricks you can do with the size Stebbins deck. But the point is, once you have that down and you know either a top card or a bottom card, you know basically the rest of the deck. And that's really, really a cool thing. Okay, so that's the size Stebbins. If you want to learn that, I'll put some information in the description so you can stack your deck with the size Stebbins and a regular deck of cards. It's really fun. It's great to play with and invent your own card tricks with.